Hello everybody, RegiTime here, and in just a moment we're going to be doing some practicing on the GTO Wizard Practice tool. We haven't got any parameters set today, it's just as if we're playing a normal game. There's no specific things like, oh, we've set it to always face 3 bets pre, or we're in a situation where we're going to be 3 betting or folding, etc. It's just like playing a normal game of poker, only we're playing against GTO opponents. And I'm going to approach this in the way I would play in my games. I'm not trying to get a good score as such. I'm just trying to do exactly the things I would do in my games. And then when I get a blunder or a GTO is telling me, no, you've done that wrong, we're going to look into it, and I'm going to see if I think it would still be wrong in the games I play. That's not to say that I'm going to try and pretend I know better than GTO, because obviously I don't. But this bot we're playing against here is going to be way more aggressive, with a well balanced range than my opponents are in the games I play. And by that I mean not just the soft games I play on iPoker, but also, when I sometimes dabble in the speed poker games. I mean, um, this bot is just going to be playing really, really well, and most of the players I play against don't play really, really well. Some of them are just too tight, some of them aren't aggressive enough, etc. Some of them are too aggressive, um, but by and large, they're not going to play as well as this. If we get score anywhere near like 75% in this top corner, I'll be pretty pleased. But I'm not aiming for a good score. I'm just basically playing like I would play against my opponents in game, and then when we get the red circle, or the even worse, the blunder, the red triangle, we're going to look into it, and I'm going to be honest as to whether I think that is reasonable and I actually fucked the hand up, or whether I still think what I would have done versus my opponents would be okay. So we've already started this, but the recording didn't start. So we've opened the King 5 suited from the small blind. The big blind is 3 of us. We're just going to fold. We're going to get a double tick for that. You have the Queen 10 off here. I think this probably could be 3 bets sometimes, blind versus blind, but it's very rare I'm going to do that. This bot is likely going to be opening like 45% plus from the small blind. In my games, that's a very rare thing to see. Very, very rare. Lots of players are opening in the high 20s, low 30s, certainly not getting near 45. I still think we need to call the Queen 10 in position, even though we are up against a tighter range than in my games and GTO Wizard will be doing. When we get the King 7-2 rainbow flop, it doesn't see bet in my games here. I think I would really probably check back and then look to versus 2 check, start to buy the pot. And now I think we just start betting. In the games I play, when someone checks twice here, they're either going to have pretty weak showdown value, pretty weak made hand, or just to give up a lot of the time. So I would start by just betting relatively small, just fold out some of the weakest parts of their range. Maybe would even head up, but it doesn't matter. Just fold them out, deny the equity, pick up the pot, etc. And I think I will probably bet again here. We're just trying to put pressure on, like, ace highs. Maybe not even getting a 7 to fold. Yeah, I guess just ace highs, I guess. I mean, the thing is here, we probably don't have showdown value. But I think we can get our opponent to fold some better hands. So I would probably bet again here. I certainly wouldn't use overbet, given these bet sizes that are available to me. And given what we're trying to make a villains fold, I would probably go with the bet in 6 here. Don't expect it to work very well versus the GTO guy, but I think it would work well enough in the games I play. So yeah, we're getting a pretty bad score on this one. He just wants us to check the turn again. And then on the river, as played, he just wants us to give up. Which I think is reasonable when you're playing against like a theoretically perfect opponent. I think in the games I play, it probably works okay. Not brilliant, we're not saying we're printing there, but I think it probably works okay versus the players I play. on this flop. In my games, I would probably, what would I do on this board versus big blind? I'd probably kick off with a small bet. With the ace queen here. On like a double Broadway board, I would start with a biggish bet when I'm the small blind opening into the big blind, thinking that they probably don't have any very many strong hands here. Probably they maybe have some two pairs with the king jacks. They don't have the set of deuces. Yeah, I just think it's a board where in the games I play, I would use a big bet here. I wouldn't be surprised if GTO doesn't like this, but that's what I would be doing. And I would probably just barrel off here as well. Yeah, fine. We're gonna like run into a king sometimes that hasn't 3-bet pre. But I think I would probably just go bet, big. So that's what we're gonna do. And when we river the queen, so as played in my games, I would now probably check and just hope to win against the jack. No need to try and turn our queen into a bluff because obviously no better hands are going to fold. Maybe you could get a hand like, I don't know, some random king X to fold, king 5 suited or whatever. Now I would just check. Maybe we could block. But I don't think that really cheese very much. Gets a little bit of value from jack X. I mean, my autopilot says just check. But now I'm thinking, can we block to get value from jack X? Super unlikely to get raised. We've got the ace of hearts. Do I prefer block or just check fold? I think I still prefer just check fold. And just take our showdown value. It doesn't hate our play. It doesn't like our flop. It's going to be the sizing it doesn't like on the flop. Yeah, even though it's got very similar EV to the like double tick option and what have you. Yeah, I didn't think it liked that sizing, but I think that's reasonable. Yeah. Don't know what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, basically against the GTO opponent, probably bet is probably too big, but against the players I play against, I don't think it is. I think it does well. So here we have second pair against a small blind. Small blind flats in the games I play are typically going to be small. Well, it depends. There's some real whoppers, but against your average opponent, probably going to be like some ace X in there. Pocket pairs, broadways. Generally speaking, though, it's just a board I'm going to bet. Probably with my entire range for a small size. Ace on the turn would tell me that I'd probably got the best hand, but not super likely to get called by, like, get my value bets called by worst too often. So I would check back on the ace and then probably look to call most rivers, even though I wouldn't be massively in love with it. And yeah, we are just going to call this river. And I would, in my games, I would do the same here. I would expect to lose a decent amount of the time, but sometimes there are players in all games, in all poker games, I guess, who once they see a check, they will just bet everything on the river, or they'll bet a lot of hands. They'll certainly bet all of their like weaker hands that they maybe just trying to buy the pot with, and maybe they would even value bet some worse hands. Or just bet some worse hands, not for value, just bet for betting's sake. I wouldn't fold here. Happy days. Gonna raise up the queen jack here. We get 3-bet. We get the easiest of folds. Raising up the king 9 suited. I guess maybe from time to time we could 4-bet this. I would literally never do this in game. I would always just do that. Yeah, it's not liking it. It's going to want me to do something different there. But in my games, I would just automatically fold. Like blind versus blind, the average 3-bet is like probably something like, well, it depends. I'd say average. Against regs, it's going to be higher, of course. Against fish, it's going to be way lower. So it's hard to say the average. But given I game select well, um, the games I specifically play, um, three betting blind versus blind is not a common part of the game. It did want me to raise sometimes and call a lot. I don't think that's going to make money in my game. If it is, it's going to make very little money. And I'm not. It's not a spot that I'm that bothered about defending my positioning. Queen Jack off here. It's very low frequency open for me from middle position, the offsuit broadways. In actual fact, I'm just going to fold it. I think. Didn't think it would like that. Didn't think it would like it, but yeah, it's pretty close. So I'm not going to lose sleep over making a fold in a spot that's pretty close. Because the thing is, in my games, when you're opening middle position, so you got like the cutoff and the button to go behind you, and they're so like loose passive pre-flop. You've seen my previous videos. I play with players that have like 50, 60, 70 VPIPs. So you just so often you start a position to one or more players. With a hand like Queen Jack off, it's just not going to make money with Queen Jack off there. And if you are, it's not very much. 3-0, obviously, super standard open, super standard fold to the 3-bet. Pocket fours, blind versus blind. I think I make mistakes in my games because I think against a lot of the players I play against, just opening for a limp is probably okay. Versus a lot of players who are playing like 52/5 and what have you, who are never going to ISO your limp. I suspect I make a mistake well, not a mistake because raising just makes money, but yeah, I think we can sometimes limp these sort of hands in the games I play. If I was playing speed poker, it would just be an auto raise. On the Queen 9 deuce with the pocket fours, I would probably just give up. And I'm probably just continuing to give up. We have a little bit of showdown value against ace high, etc., that maybe won't try to bluff. And trivial fold. Yeah, get all double ticks. I'm not surprised to get all the double ticks there. Pocket threes, I would just fold. Here we're just going to defend with the call with pocket threes. And we are just going to fold on this board. Even if we're ahead, it's going to be hard to continue calling down. Our opponent's entire range is just going to have good equity against us, given we've got pocket threes, and they're going to at least have 2 overs nearly all of the time. It doesn't like the fold. But basically calling doesn't do that much better than folding. I have no issue with getting marked down on that one. Ace 5 suited, going to be an open. And it's going to be a fold versus a 3-bet. Ace 9 offsuit is going to be an open. And on like Queen low, I'm going to stab with a very high frequency. Probably not going to barrel off too often because there just aren't many turn cards that are going to excite me once we get check called on this board. But we're certainly going to just like auto c-bet here most of the time. Yeah, it doesn't like it, but again, I think it's fine. It really doesn't like the bet much. Well, say it doesn't, but it again, at the EV between check makes us 1.4 big blinds in EV apparently, and betting 1.3. Yeah, fuck it. I've got marked down there, but I think it's fine. Versus the opponents in the games that I play. That just on like Queen 5-3. I'm just wanting them to just like, even though we're ahead, I'm just wanting them to fold stuff like Jack 10 and what have you. Just fold your hand, mate. Let's move on. It's like deny equity to hands that have got maybe 6 outs that are never going to put a chip in the pot aggressively, but we'll just like, you let them sleepwalk into making a hand sometimes. I know we're only getting like a worse hand to fold, but just picking up that dead money for me in the games I play, because we do create a lot of dead money pre-flop where people just defend too many hands from the blinds and then just have a hard time continuing. I think it's completely fine. And fuck what this GTO was saying to me. Jack 10 suited. I'm almost never going to 3-bet this hand, so we're just going to call. We flop second pair, so we're going to be looking to try and get to showdown. We're certainly not betting this flop. Certainly not betting this turn. And I think we're probably going to go for value on the river unless he bets, and when they bet, we're just going to call and expect to lose a fair amount, but given the line we've taken, we can't do anything but call. Yep, we get all the double ticks. Not that we're looking for double ticks as such. We're just trying to like see how much my play in my games when I'm trying to like exploit deviates from theory. King 7 suited. It's an open I make, but it's typically a pretty unhappy open. And again, we're just going to auto c-bet like ace low low. Going to auto c-bet small as just as a stab, just again. Just like they're in there with a jack 10, a queen 9. All these hands that we're ahead of, but are never going to bet. But if we check, they might just, just basically we don't want hands that worse. Well, I don't want worse hands to realise their equity when they're never going to bluff. If we think we could check back here and then sometimes we could bluff catch with our king high, maybe that's different, but it's just not happening in my games. I have a probe stat in my HUD, and most players are like probing significantly less than 40% on the turn. There are some who overdo it and that auto probe, but pool is just like basically only probing when they have something on turn. So I'm not going to want to check back here and then just like, yeah, we could try and show our king high down, but I just think like auto betting, just like autopilot c betting 1/3 here is going to do just fine in my games. I don't think GTO is going to like it too much. Maybe it is, but I think it's fine when I'm playing against far more like loose passive opponents. Like I say, the guys they just have like the queen 9 of fucking diamonds here, or queen 9 of clubs, or and the jack 9 of fucking clubs or something like that. Just have them fold all that stuff rather than check back and let it hit a jack or a 9 on the turn and then never get it to fold. We get check raised. We fold. Yeah, it's not going to like the flop. It prefers check, but if we're betting, it prefers bigger bets. Pocket threes, I'm just not going to be opening it from this position. Jack 8 suited. Mandatory cut-off open. Flopping a gut shot. 10-7-3 is the bottom way less likely, especially versus big blinds who want to bet. Certainly when we like have a little bit of a chance to like improve on the turn, I'd hate to bet here and get raised off my gut shot and what have you. We could hit a jack and be good. We could hit an 8 and be good. So I'm not going to bet this flop. I probably am, if we face another check, probably going to start delay c-betting. And again, in GTO land, that might not be good. But in the games I play, if I face a double check here, I'm probably just going to like bet small turn, bet big river. Once we face double checks, I think if someone's got like a 10 or even a 7, most of the time when we check back, they're going to start betting. So when they don't bet, I think just bet small turn, bet big river is going to be a very profitable line. So this is what I would do here. I would bet small. And then on this one now, I think that maybe they can have some 10x that hasn't probed the turn. So maybe on this one, I wouldn't be a huge fan of taking the line I suggested. But that said, we've got jack high. Our opponent could fold a 7x. They can have some just like ace or queen high flush draws that called the turn that now can't call. So I would probably bet quite big in this river. I wouldn't go with over bet. I would prefer to have a big bet than 5 available to me in the games I play. I would probably bet something around pot here, maybe like 7 bigs or something like that. It's going to hate over bet. It's going to hate over bet, but that's closer to the size I want to use. So that's what I'm going to go with here. And we get called by queen 10. And I know it wouldn't like over bet river, and thought it might like the smaller bet better, but I just used the size that was closest to the size I would use in game. Fold the king 6. He doesn't like it. It's drunk. This is just going to be a miserable open under the gun at the micro stakes. Jack 8 suited is going to fold. Finally a good hand. We get 3-bet, which we like. I like getting trappy here sometimes. because like the types of hands that are just going to 4-bet rip on us are just basically going to be ace king and aces a lot and pocket kings. We're not going to lose any value from pocket kings by calling. I mean, I think 4-bet's the absolute standard option. But we block a lot of like the lighter 4-bets, depending on opponent. This is going to be opponent dependent for me because I don't love 4-betting very much, to be honest with you. I don't like that. I have almost no 4-bet bluffs when I play, so it makes me feel like maybe just never 4-betting versus Rex is just not the worst thing in the world. But fuck it, we're gonna have a call here. We get led into for quarter pot. We're just gonna call. He checks. We're going to start doing some betting. How much do we need to bet here to get all in by the river? It's 83 behind. If we were to bet 15, that will put 65 in and 68. So just more than 15. So 17.5 looks reasonable, half pot. And then we're going to be all in on the river. And it likes it. I think obviously it would have preferred 4-bet pre-flop, but it likes it. It likes how we played the rest of the hand. 7-6 suited, not even close to a decision, just fold. I think it's a mistake so many micro-stakes players break. They just like over-defend suited connections versus 3-bets. They over-defend pocket pairs versus 3-bets. In fact, they just defend too much versus 3-bets. I mean, I do a lot of folding even in these simulators, and I don't get that told off for it. And I'm folding hands that will probably have significantly more equity versus the GTO opponent who's 3-betting correct ranges than they have against the types of opponents I play who are going to be way more value heavy with their 3-bets. So if it doesn't mind me overfolding in these simulations, then overfolding in the games I play just is going to, it's not going to make money, but it's certainly going to save a lot of money. King 6, it's going to hate this again, but I'm just folding it. King 7 with my smallest, my biggest king. Smallest suited king I would open. I don't suppose there's that much difference, but yeah, I knew you wouldn't like it. I don't care. Here's king here. Yeah, king 7-4. We're just going to kick off with a small bet and probably just going to go bet. Don't love the 8 on the turn. It's not the best of cards. 6-5 gets there. There's some 2 pairs. A second flush draw is created. I was going to go bet. Now we're not. Now we're going to slow down and start checking. Not folding this street, obviously. And queen on the river, I think we just block. That's what I would do anyway. I would just block here. Try and get value from worse kings. Try and get a call from like 7x or something. We get raised and I hate my life. Now in my game, I think even in my game here, I think I would have to find some calls. Because we've taken such a weak looking line and like tons and tons of draws I've missed. Yeah, this would be probably a sad face. I'd want to fold, but because people just don't bluff enough. GTO clearly will be bluffing enough. People in my games just don't bluff enough, but if they are going to find bluffs, it's going to be on this type of board. So we'll probably call, but I would be deeply unhappy about it. And we won the pot, and GTO Wizard loves me for it, or at least likes me for it. Here's jack off with the open. 9-5-4 is not a board I'm going to see bet with a particular high frequency versus big blind, especially not with a hand that has decent showdown value. Well, it has decent showdown value against their air, and we don't get anything that's worse than ace jack. So anything that's better than ace jack to fold very often here. And maybe we get like deuces and threes to fold at some point. It's just so few hands that are going to fold. I'm just not going to bother. And we're just going to keep checking back. Our hands just too much showdown value to bluff with, too strong to bluff. And versus 1.5 on the river, probably just going to fold. Feels weak, but I'm probably just going to fold. Yep, he likes it. That's fine. Pocket 5s, again, similar conversation to the 4s earlier. I think limping's probably okay, but against like weaker opponents, I'm just trying to make a set and get value. It's 9-7-3. And try and show our hand down. No reason to bet. Probably have to call this river if we check any bets again. Over bet. I think our hand's just too strong to fold. As played, we kept them. We've managed to do a good job of keeping the pot very small. In the games I play, calling river over bets is an absolute fucking. In fact, we are going to fold because calling river over bets is just a crime. It's a disgrace of a thing to do. I think versus a GTO opponent, maybe we just need to call this hand. I think it's too high up in our range. But in the games I play, I'm just going to fold this pretty much all of the time. Yeah. I mean, even GTO Wizard likes it, even though we had the best hand and that line didn't make a lot of sense. Raising the King Queen. Again, in the games I play, just auto folding this. I'm probably going to get told off by GTO Wizard. Yeah, I thought I might. Going to want us to do some. Well, it's going to want us to do some 4-betting. I think that would be a disaster in the games I play. 5-4 suited, not going to be an open. 2 10s, trivial open. Get 3-bet by the small blind. Versus regs here, I would probably call because regs are just like they're going to have some hands at 10s is doing fine against. Versus fish, I probably wouldn't. Probably wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't 4-bet. Yeah, we're just going to call. Our hand's just too strong to fold. And we're just going to fold. And I think I'm going to get told off. No, I'm not going to get told off. I'm going to get double ticks everywhere. King 10 off. We're just going to be calling. Am I going to start bluffing this early in the hand? No, I think we're going to wait, and if we see 2 checks, then we're going to start bluffing. So I think in like games I play, we're going to be seeing a range here of like pocket queens and lower taking this line. Maybe they will sometimes bet the flop, but I think it's going to be like pocket queens and worse. I think we can just get folds from so many things here that we're behind 2. And I know it's not going to like this, but I would go with big bet again here. Well, not necessarily massive bet. I wouldn't be like betting. I'd probably want to bet like 3/4 pot, and the closest we got to that is 6. So that's what we'll do here. Doesn't like it. Yeah, it just wants to give up river. What did it want to do on the turn? Yeah, it just basically wanted to give up, didn't it? I don't mind though. I think I'm happy with my decision versus my population. Easy open with the ace queen. We get 3-bet by the small blind. Absolute, the most trivial of defense. Checking back. No reason to bet. Again, still no reason to bet. We're ahead of stuff like ace jack, king queen, king jack. We're ahead of a lot of stuff here. And on the river, don't think anyone's betting ace king here, so I don't think we're going to get like, yeah. I was going to say we're not getting bluff. We're not going to get called and like lose to a bluff. I mean, it depends what they consider like as a bluff here. I mean, they could be value betting a hand like pocket 8s here quite easily. It's conceivable they could play like pocket jacks this way, I guess. But I would just call and not be deeply unhappy about it. Don't get me wrong, deeply unhappy about it. But for this price, I would just call. They actually did have the ace king that was value betting. I imagine it was value betting at GTO. So what do I fucking know? King 6, trivial open. Double Broadway board. I'm just going to go bet, and again I'm going to go big, big, big. This isn't going to like it, but this is what I would do on a double Broadway board. Adding the heart draw, I would sometimes go with overbets on this turn with this exact hand. I think it's really hard for our opponent to have. I mean, they can have some ace deuce, ace four, but I think they raise the flop. Ace deuce, ace four wouldn't raise the flop. The thing is, when we got so much equity, it's a crime to like bet and then fall to a raise. I think sometimes I fall into a trap here of being like, oh, turn some equity. I don't want to get raised off my hand. But I think that's bad. I think we just want to be betting here, and I would go with a pretty big size. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I would just be all in on this river. And get in the bin GTO with your pocket fives. I know it doesn't like it, and it's not even rating me on the turn of the river because it doesn't like what I did on the flop. So whatever. Fuck you, GTO. Opening the ace down and folding it to a raise. Opening the ace jack and folding it to a raise. Nine, 8, 3, 9 high boards. We have ace high. We're not betting. We're still not betting. And I think we're probably folding versus big bet. This is possibly an overfold in GTO land, but I think in the games I play, still slightly an overfold because we have checked twice. People will maybe start bluffing and then just give up again. But I think, honestly, I will probably just fold. Never folding the ace queen suited. Checks to us. We up top pair. We could start betting here. In my games, I would definitely start betting here. So we're going to do what I would do in my games. I would probably choose 1/3. What I'd want to do is bet this size. But I'd probably go with 1/3 like this shit reg I am. No, we're going to go with this size. I think I would find this sometimes. Disaster of a turn. And disaster of a river. But well played, Reg. You got double ticks the whole way. Jack 10. I'm going to pure give up with this in my games. I'm just going to like totally and utterly give up. Queen 8 suited. Probably fold it. Well, not probably. Definitely. Yeah, it doesn't like me. Don't care. Fuck off. King Queen. Go with the open. Just going to range bet this flop. Interesting. Because we shouldn't really, I mean, theoretically, we know we're range betting the flop, but from Villain's perspective, like how much Queen X are we betting? In game, I would just go with a large but not over bet here. So given the options we're allowed, I'm going to go with this 6.25. It likes it. Raising, and in my game, I'm just folding here. GTO's probably going to tell me off, but I'm just folding and just not caring. Yeah, the EV difference between call and fold is minimal. Well, it's non-existent. Maybe I'm like getting it wrong with if GTO Wizard doesn't hate the fold, then in my games the fold's going to be even less bad, if you will. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I don't think I am. King Jack suited. This is a pretty one that I really, really would not want to fold, and I wouldn't fold it. GTO Wizard's probably going to want me to 4-bet at some frequency. There's 0% chance I'm going to 4-bet in my games with this hand, or almost 0%, which is going to. I'd be like this. The knitting me will be like, just fold, Reg. They've just got a good hand. You dominated, etc. But then the fishing me will be like, oh, call, it's so pretty. But I think just fold. Yeah, it's actually a blunder. Um, fine, fine, whatever. Good for you. Jack 10 off's just going to be a fold. Jack deuce deuce. No one really has much deuce X. Just range bet. And I think after just betting small flop, I would probably go with big bets on the turn here because I'm just not particularly worried about my opponent having a deuce. So I'd probably go with big bets here. I'd probably want to go bigger than 6.4, so I'm going to go with this one. Even though in game I would have gone with like big but less than pot. Never 3-betting the fours. Just folding here. Probably won't like it, but that's what I'm going to do. No, it hates it. Wants to call. Not interested, mate. Not fucking interested. Ace 3 suited. Going to be an open. Range bet versus small blind. The small blind isn't going to have any of the two pairs here. I mean, in my games, who fucking knows? Depending on the player, there's 7-5 very much a thing, as is the Jack 8 and what have you. Probably the 6-4, probably the 8-6. So in my games, I think there's like still plenty of like relatively strong hands in villain's range. I think in GTO land, there just isn't. But we're talking about what I would do in my games here. And I wouldn't barrel this turn card. And if in my games villain took this line of like check, call, check, and then didn't probe river, they don't have many strong hands. I imagine a jack would probe here most of the time. So I would just bet here and bet pretty big to try and fold out like 6x. So let's do just that. Yeah, it doesn't like river. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I think that's fine for the reasons given. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying I'm definitely fucking right, but in the games I play versus that line, I think that overbet on the river is just gonna. It's not gonna be a losing play. King Jack offsuit. I would just fold this in the games I play. Yeah, it's not gonna like it. Just get fucked. I don't care. Really don't care that you don't like me folding bottom of range, early position. Couldn't care fucking less. Trivial fold. And last hand, pocket sixes. This is right on the cusp for me. Usually I would fold it, but it's last hand, so we're going to open it. We get 3-bet, of course, and we're just going to fold, and I didn't mind it. So there we go. We got 76%. I said anything over 75% I'd be happy with, so I'm going to be happy with 76%. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these videos because it's all you're going to be getting for a while. Yeah, we're not going to be like reviewing many of my hands. We're going to do the occasional Reggie versus Whopper type stuff. But yeah, this is it. I'm really enjoying using this software. I'm not trying to get like GTO perfect scores anymore because I don't want to. What I want to get from this really is like get an understanding of what GTO wants me to do. So in game, I can be thinking, right, I think in like to be balanced here, we need to be doing this. But then against opponents, and most of my opponents, I don't want to be balanced against. Against players, I don't want to be balanced against. I want to be, I think, right. So to be balanced, I want to do this. But against this opponent who folds too much, then I'm going to earn more towards being aggressive. And against these opponents who call too much, I'm going to earn more to being passive. And I think you can better exploit people. The better you are at knowing what theory wants you to do, the better you're then going to be at finding exploits against players who have some pretty obvious leaks. Like in my games, there's some players that have like to fold way too much to C bets, and there's some guys who fucking barely ever fold to a C bet. So like you need to adjust against these opponents, and it's if you don't know what like. And let's face it, I don't know what equilibrium looks like. But if you don't have a reasonable idea of what like equilibrium looks like, you're not going to find anywhere near enough of the correct adjustments. In my games, I play relatively passively on the early streets. I don't see it anywhere near as much as CD dictates because I'm playing in games where people don't fold anywhere near enough to have as many like weak hands in our C betting ranges as perhaps you'll want. So this is how I'm using this software. I'm using it to become more familiar with what CD wants me to do, but being able to justify my exploits in game, which is why we've done this video the way we've done today. I didn't play it to get a good score. I tried my best to play as honest as I could, based on playing against fish. Basically, I was in my head. I was doing that entire session as me versus like the loose passive type players in my games. Um, and yeah, I think it's a good exercise. I do this pretty much before every session. Um, I've spent quite a lot of time doing it, and perhaps maybe a little bit too much time. But I like it. I think it's a good warm up. So yeah, this is the type of content that you're going to be getting for quite a while now. I'm fully aware that it's not going to do great. It's not going to get great views. People don't necessarily want to see this, but I think the guys that enjoy it really enjoy it, and the ones that don't, well, they don't do they, but tough shit. Um, yeah, so I'm off now. It's Thursday, so it's probably going to be it's going to be next week sometime before we make any more content. But have a good day, everybody. Have a good weekend. As always, fuck the Tories and everyone that supports them. And if that's you, then I do mean fuck you as well. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Take care and goodbye for now.